Arena. Hoggard, Walker, 3 in the corner. Oh, what a shot! Hoggard discards Martin. Walker open for 3. Hoggard on the move, alive. Oh!
Shot clock at 10. AJ driving. Cut off. He'll shoot anyway. Off the glass and in. Out front, Walker. 5 seconds. Here comes the 3 out front. He got it! Walker, 4 threes in the first half.
Turnaround jumper in the lane, and it goes down. A.J. Hoggard has been terrific.
Well, I am a Michigan State University graduate and a proud and lifetime fan of this university. So it is, in fact, March, which means Michigan State people are very happy and we're very excited. And it did say in the intro there that March at Michigan State is a time for stars to perform. We got 2 of them right here. Now, Tyson Walker, you've been here before, so it's a welcome back to you. I'm glad to have you back, so welcome back. A.J. Hoggard, first time meeting you. I appreciate you being here. Welcome to the Spiro Avenue Show.
Thanks for having me.
So you guys, you had practice run a little bit late tonight, so we're starting a little late for the audience that was sending me angry, confused questions. So what's that week of practice like? I mean, obviously you're running late. Is it pretty intense, or what's going on?
I say practice kind of just dialed in. Just getting prepared for tournament time. Around this time, you don't really have that much time prepping. It's day by day if you win to move on. So kind of got to get those things out of the way now and just prepare for what we have ahead in Chicago.
Is it like a pretty intense atmosphere relative to a random, Monday or Tuesday practice in January, or is it kind of the same? Like, is there a noticeable difference as you ramp up in March?
It's definitely a little different, because we don't have many practices left. Like, we got a couple more, so trying to just keep the season going, really, to keep winning.
So is your coach kind of in the same mood, or is he a little testy? Like, I'm fascinated by Izzo's perceived, which I think is legitimate magic, like at this time of year, like why he's so much better in March. Like, is there anything that you see different in him like this time of year?
I wouldn't say nothing super that stands out. I think he's kind of the same, but it's just we just know the emphasis on March in itself. It's winter go home time, so you just got to bring it at a high level. He definitely is not letting no slack slide. That's normal, but it's definitely at a higher intense level now in March because it's one or done. You don't get too many times at practice, like Tyson said, so we got to give it our all now while we're here and got this opportunity to get some practices under our belt and get ready.
Yeah, I mean, to put it in some level of perspective, Tom Izzo's success in qualifying for this tournament, which is not a layup, is older than you guys. I mean, we created a graphic to demonstrate this. If you, Ben, throw that up. But so this will be, I mean, it's not official yet, and we're talking more Big Ten tournament right now. But it's informally, it's going to happen. We are going to be at 25 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances for Tom Izzo. The last time Tom Izzo missed this thing, you guys who are within a few months of the same age were negative 3.5 years old. So, and you're young guys, but you're not toddlers. This has been a sustained run, only matched by Kansas in the current state right now. So I feel like this is the Michigan State kind of Christmas season almost. It just seems like that's I've been around it obviously longer than you guys have, just being a lot older and having been there earlier. But just going into this weekend in particular, I want to focus on the Big Ten tournament first. I think this is a wide open conference. I think, like, even your coach was saying Minnesota's looked better the last couple of weeks. Like, even the bottom of the conference has looked kind of frisky. There's almost nobody that would surprise me if they win this weekend. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, for real.
Definitely.
Just everybody really from second to last place, second to 10th place, having basically the same record is kind of crazy. Just because, like, one loss or one win could boost you or could have dropped you.
Michigan went from 2 to 8 in that Indiana one. Like, if they had won, they would have been second.
And, like, Northwestern went from 9 to 2.
Yeah. It's just, the kind of chutes and ladders that were going on with the standings. And I think that's reflected even with the eyeball test. I mean, Nebraska, and we'll get to them a little bit later, but Nebraska looked like they were going to run you out of their gym, and then you flip that script, and the game wasn't even close at the end. It was a relaxing victory. It's one thing to come back. It's one thing to come back in that kind of convincing fashion. The general perception of the Big Ten tournament is kind of all over the map with fans, with players, with coaches. Tom Izzo used to openly not like it when they first instituted it. He said that it's not the real tournament. He has since kind of shifted. Now he actually does really value it in the last 8 to 10 years, so midstream of his career. I was on Stu Douglas's show this morning. He's a former Michigan basketball player. He said he hated the Big Ten tournament. He was a 4-year starter there. He hated it every year. Like, get it out of the way. Just get me out of here. What's your kind of take on that for both of you? Like, is it kind of a necessary evil before we get to the real thing? Is it something you really value? What's your take on that?
I say it's definitely valuable for us. Unlike any other conference, like the standings, like he said, 2 to 10, everyone has the same record. I think we have one of the most talented team-wide conferences in the country. So just getting an opportunity to get another shot at those guys in a tournament-style fashion before we get to the NCAA tournament, if that's where we end up, it's just not going to do anything but help us because we get to see those teams. We know it's win or go home in the Big Ten tournament. We're playing back-to-back days. In NCAA, you play 2 games out of 3 days of a weekend. So it kind of prepares you, and the way our conference is going is definitely going to be a positive for all Big Ten teams across the board that get a shot at the NCAA tournament.
Do you value it, Tyson, the Big Ten tournament?
Yeah, it's definitely a great environment for sure. Just the place is going to be sold out because everybody's school is relatively close to it. So all the fan base is there. It's just a good place to play. And it's just a different feeling when you walk in and play there.
It's a different atmosphere. Like, I haven't been to a couple of those over the years. It's fun, honestly, and it's a chance to hang a banner too, which is, that's nothing to scoff at. Like, you can come back in 20 years and that banner's still there. I mean, Draymond comes back, his 2012 Big Ten Tournament Championship banner's still up there. So I think there's value in the banner even, shooting for that. So I've said throughout the year, and Tyson knows, Tyson bit back at me a little bit his first, politely, but my whining about the transfer portal in the center and stuff. The argument for you guys going on a run this weekend in the big picture of the NCAA tournament is the guard play. I said that all year. I think that's a common Michigan State opinion. In this time of year, it's not typically the Zach Edey, big guy, even Jared Sullinger type teams that really succeed. It's guards and wings. That's what we've learned. There's some exceptions, but that's typical. The Michigan State backcourt, which you guys are obviously a critical component of, I mean, Jaden's been here before as well, is one of the best 2 or 3, 4 in the country, I would argue. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but I think you guys are way, way up there. I think the argument for you guys going on a run is on your backs. It's going to be a lot on, like, you two, not on the whole team, on you two who I'm talking to. Do you feel like any added pressure being kind of the structure of the team that you're on where you don't have Edey, you don't have, Isibwe, like, 20 and 18. Like, is there a little added pressure on you guys given the roster construction?
Nah.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think pressure is a privilege. So just to be put in that light and have that on my back is just something that I rather strive in and get the opportunity to be in and succeed in. So it's going to be fun, something that we're looking forward to. We've been talking about since the summer. So it's going to be fun. We get a chance to hang a banner. We didn't get a chance to do that in the regular season. So we definitely want to leave our imprint on Michigan State. So it starts with the Big Ten tournament. And tournament runs, like you said, rely on our guards. So we got to bring our A game every night.
I mean, I'll take my chances with you two and Akins. I mean, that's what I've been saying. Like, what other team has a clear, better trio than that? I mean, you could say there's others certainly like in the class that are way up there, and Kansas has some good guard play for sure, but I do think it is going to be on your backs. But you don't really see any, even the best teams, the 1 seeds that end up winning the whole thing, you don't see those 6-game runs happen without like some lesser expected weird contributions from guys like that you didn't really see. Like Travis Walton in 2009 led Michigan State in scoring to survive the USC game. That team had DeMar DeRozan, Taj Gibson. It was like a really good USC team. He had his season high by like 7 points in the tournament out of nowhere. He was like a 4-point-a-game guy. He had like 16. Like, what the fuck? This guy's hitting everything. If he was even a little less great, they get knocked out in the first weekend. They ended up going all the way to the national title game. I just feel like you guys need, not because it's you, but because that's the nature of this beast, you need someone really in the front court to step up, right? I mean, we need a 12-10 Sissoko performance or Cole, is that kind of something concerning to you? Because you guys, frankly, I got to be honest, like, you've carried the weight for this team. It has not been the front court.
I don't think it's a concern at all. Started off the season, Marty started off really hot. It's always ups and downs. I've been there last year. Inconsistency in my play last year, so I'm not too concerned with our front court. I have a good faith in them guys, and I think they've been showing it the last couple of weeks, especially in practice, and just raising their confidence and just being ready to play. I think everyone's going to strive in this moment. Our freshman front court with Jackson and Carson, it's going to be their first time in this environment. And last year, Marty didn't really get a true shot to playing things like this, so I think he's definitely excited, and I think he'll be ready to go.
So, Tyson, when we talked last time about the portal thing, and then this will be the last time I ever bring it up on this show because people are sick of hearing it, but you were definitive, like, we stand by, we agree with Coach. Like, we're glad they didn't go get somebody. We like this group. We like this team. Having played this year, having lost a couple of close games where the rebounding margin, you were -9, -10, -11, which is very rare for Michigan State. Do you want to amend that opinion at all, or do you still stand by?
I still stand by it.
You stand by it.
I feel like us not rebounding is not really based on the bigs. It has to do a lot with everybody else. So, like, we all got to rebound. It's just not the bigs not going to get 50 rebounds in the game. Everybody else got to contribute.
Yeah, fair. I'm gonna just let that ship kind of like sink for me because it's frankly, this is one of my favorite teams in my life as a Michigan State fan, which I said repeatedly the last 5 months or whatever it is. You guys seem to have a certain edge to you, like you two in particular, but really the whole team. Like Akins, he had that 3 in Ann Arbor that just like barely lipped out. And then the next time he touched the ball, like 2 possessions later, no hesitation in the corner, just gunned it down. And like for an underclassman, that's not. We've seen a lot of hesitant shooters over the years. It's just you guys seem to have that FU, or like I love that you would say like kind of FU Justin. Like you know what the hell you're talking about. Like that's kind of the nature of this team. Do you guys feel that? Like do you guys have a little bit of a edge to you that you think is unique?
Definitely, we have an edge.
Like we all got a lot of confidence in each other and in ourselves from just like the work we put in. Like we've seen each other putting the work in, so we know what we can do.
When I was doing research on just the team generally and kind of handicapping the tournament and what I thought would happen and all that, I knew you guys were, as a team, shooting off the charts from 3 just from watching the team all year long. I was shocked. Ben, can you throw that graphic that we put up on Twitter, or was it yesterday or whatever? So you guys have 4 players right now shooting above 40% on three-point attempts, which is the most among Power 5 teams. There's like 1 or 2 schools that play in front of 87 fans that had like matched you with 4. No one had you beat. You got 4 guys, and for the uninformed, like 41% and higher is ridiculous. That's insanely high. I was kind of shocked that it was that high. I just feel like that's been such a big development for this team, and especially with you guys don't have that like Hunter Dickinson, Edie type that you're playing through the post and he's kicking out and getting open shots. I'm curious for your opinion on going into this tournament with the structure of this team being, literally the best shooting team in the country objectively from deep. There is going to be, if you go on that 6-game run, that game where the shots aren't falling. That's just, it always happens. That's the nature of this tournament. Like, is the approach kind of to keep shooting, or if you're 2 for, I don't mean individually, as a team, you're 2 for 17 from 3, and it's late in the second half, you're down 7. Like, do you change what you do? What's your kind of take on that strategically?
For the confidence that's in that, that happens. Happened before. Plenty of games where we weren't hitting shots at home, on the road. Just kind of got to have your confidence and get out of it. It's going to happen. We may be a game where we're struggling to shoot the ball. You got to find another way to win. That's where we rely on our defense and things of that nature. So, we got to just figure out how to win if that happens, if we cross that table. So, just got to figure it out.
The good news is you could have 3 of you guys cold, and there'd be a 4th guy that's like a 45% shooter. So, as long as one of the 4 like are on a little bit, you have somebody out there shooting at like a high NBA level clip. I mean, those numbers are ridiculous. I got flack for saying it, but it's a fact. Steph Curry at Davidson, higher volume, granted, peaked at 44%. We got a couple guys higher than that. So it's just that gives some perspective on, the nature of this team and how good it is. I was fascinated just by the whole concept, like when we played Syracuse with the Bridges, Winston, Langford team. We were like 2 out 29 from 3 or something, lost by 2 points, and people were saying like stop shooting. If you watch the tape, like wide open looks the entire game. Like I would say just keep shooting. So you're like, if you're open, let it rip, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Well, take that. I've had that argument with Michigan State fans for 3-4 years about that. It's like, oh, you should have dumped it to the post. They're getting wide open threes from good 3-point shooters, McQuaid and Langford. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. Although you guys have more firepower than they did even. So I want to talk about the national title aspiration. Ben, throw up the lowest seeds to win the national title graphic in the history of this tournament since it expanded to the full one that we know today. So the lowest seeds to ever win the national title, obviously the famous Villanova team in 85 was an 8 seed, UConn in 14, the Kemba Walker team 7 seed, and the Danny Manning 6 seed Kansas team in 1988. And you see the stat below that, 33 of 37 national champions have been seeded 3rd or higher. So you guys are right now projected to be at around a 6. Now you might work up to a 5 if you win the whole Big Ten tournament. It seems like you're between 6 and 7 though. That you're going to be in that range. You're going to be, in other words, outside of the range of what people say, or not even people. The data suggests you're a potential national champion. You would have to buck that and get into that kind of single-digit percent. Why do you think you guys, if you do, think you can be in that sort of rare exception basket where, well, 33 of the 37 teams were a 3 seed or better. You guys come in maybe a 5, 6, 7. How does that affect you? Does that feel more daunting to you at all?
No, not at all. I think our non-conference schedule sets us up for things like this. The way we structured it, the way Coach structured it this year. We played everybody. Played the people that are going to be 1 seeds, 2 seeds, scrimmage some of the people that are going to be 3 seeds. So, and held our own. So I don't think it's nobody that we're really too worried about, depending on our seeding. Of course, you'd like to get a higher seeding in the tournament, but I don't think it's nobody that we're really running from in that setting. So, especially with the way our conference is structured as well, a lot of those teams are going to be 4 to 7 seeds, depending on how you look at it. So, it's definitely not nothing that we're too worried about.
Tyson, what do you feel about that?
I just feel like we lost a lot of close ones that would have probably had us. If we win the games we lost by 2 or 3, like Northwestern, Purdue, like we'll be higher seed than what we are. So it's just the little things like that, and we know what we can do. So, and we played a lot of good teams. So I feel like we're ready for it.
There's nobody really in the field that I would say, oh, like Michigan State's screwed. Like as great as the 09 team, it's my personal favorite Michigan State team was. I was going into that national title game. They were a 2 seed, like a really good Michigan State team, thinking that 1 seed North Carolina team. It's one of the best 2 or 3 teams of the last 20 years. I didn't feel great. There's no 09 North Carolina. There's no Anthony Davis Kentucky team in this field that I see. I don't think anybody really sees that. I feel like you really could beat anybody. It's just going to be, to use a cliche, it's just shots falling. Mm-hmm. But I think you're capable of beating anybody. So there's no daunting thing there. Tyson, you said, and I think Jaden agreed with me last time when he was here with you, you said that you'd rather have a Final Four than a Big Ten championship if you had to pick one or the other. Was the Final Four for either of you kind of a on-your-radar concept when you came to Michigan State? Obviously, in different situations, transfer versus out of high school, but it's, we're known Final Four U. It's a big part of the program culture. Was that part of why you came here in the first place?
Most definitely. That's why I came. Just watching it on TV growing up. It's most reason why I wanted to be at a higher level, just to have the opportunity to get there. I feel like we got a good chance to get there.
Yeah. What about you, AJ?
Yeah, definitely have aspirations of playing the Final Four. Who wouldn't? It's one of the most watched things on television growing up as a kid, and just being in that environment. I was actually at the 09 Final Four in Detroit, so just being in that atmosphere and it coming full circle, me being a Spartan myself, is just crazy in itself. So just being able to get an opportunity to get a shot at being a part of that being on the Final Four team is something that I shoot for, one of my goals. So something I'm looking forward to.
So you would have been, what, like 9 years old for that? Yeah, because you were born in 2000?
Yeah, 8 turning 9.
8 turning 9. Were you at both games or just UConn or just
both?
So do you remember, I mean, you were a kid, but do you remember the Darrell Summers dunk and how the building was literally shaking?
Most definitely.
That's the Final Four. I mean, that was Detroit, Michigan State, which helps. But I've been to Final Fours elsewhere. I mean, these football stadiums, it's louder than they are for the football teams that actually play in them. Like, it's I don't know how you guys, and you haven't been in that situation yet, I don't know how guys shoot in there, though. Like, I went down and stood down on the court in 2010, like way before the game. And I was like, to me, it was weird. I don't know how anybody does that, but we'll worry about that later, I guess. But yeah, it's like a weird. The whole thing is like bizarre, but in a great way. It's the best thing ever. And Michigan State, luckily, I mean, we've been to 8 of them since time Izzo got here, so we're lucky in that regard. AJ, I want to talk a little bit about you. Speaking of your coach, so your relationship with your coach was a major story, kind of coming into the season. There's a perceived tension there or whatever. So Tom Izzo talks before this year with the media, is asked explicitly like, hey, where's AJ Hoggard at? How's your relationship? Where are you guys at right now? I want to play his response at the time going into the season and then follow up with him later in season. Ben, can you roll that, please?
Whether it be the Lucases, the Waltons, the Denzels, the Tums, the Winstons, there's a lot of pretty good tradition there. Those guys got pushed, they got pulled, they were demanded. AJ's got a different personality. He's cocky enough to be great, and sometimes cocky enough to be detrimental. AJ Hoggard is a very important part of this team right now. But there has to be some changes. He knows it, I know it. I got to give a little, he's got to give a lot. Because I have history on my side, I have performers on my side that I know what they did to get us as a program to where we needed to be, and him as a player to know where he's got to be.
So when I saw that, as a guy that was a big fan of yours before that, and coming into the year, I was, oh shit, like what's going on there? And I thought that was immediately a storyline to follow. Fast forward to January, after the Michigan game, which you guys won at the Breslin Center, he was asked, hey, like, how's AJ doing? Kind of a follow-up. The same reporter asked him, what's your opinion on AJ? Have you kind of seen what you needed to see from him? Ben, can you throw up Tom Izzo's words on that? He said, I'm really proud of AJ Hoggard. He's not turning the ball over. He's making good decisions. He's running the team. AJ still needs to be more vocal. We've had some head-knocking sessions, but I'm happy for him because he's making himself a player. And that was a portion of a much broader, I mean, he said like 7 other nice things about you and went kind of on and on about how proud he was of you. What is your relationship like with him? Because the fans think that you guys just hate each other, or that you can't stand him. Or, that's just what the fans think. Like, what's kind of your standing with him?
It's definitely totally opposite. I think it's just a tough love situation. He pushes me. I sometimes push him. But I think he just kind of wants the best for me. And sometimes you can't see that as a player. Just going through it, the emotions, the highs and the lows of just being a college athlete in itself. But it's definitely been fun playing for him. We had our ups and downs, but I think we're on a very high up right now. We're heading in the right direction, and just everything's been smooth. We haven't really had any major problems this year, none at all, actually. So it's been fun. Just kind of just learning and growing as a player and learning from him. So it's been good. So
you guys are good. So everyone can calm down with that stuff. Because it has died down, but like I don't blame people, because I thought the same thing when he said that. I mean, that's Tom Izzo, though. He's kind of blunt. I mean, if I were a player, I probably wouldn't be thrilled about that, but that's who he is. And I think you kind of know, like, signing up for him, you're going to – yeah. Did you, I don't know if you saw that or, like –
No, that's the first time seeing it.
Oh, yeah, maybe I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm going to get a message from Mex Carey about it or something. But, yeah, Mex is – sorry, Mex, if you're watching. Yeah, anyway, so, yeah, it's as a general matter, I would be kind of mad about that if I were a player. But not even that anything he said is untrue. It's not even the point. It's like – I would feel kind of called out, but that's Tom Izzo. That's what he does. Now, look, I think you've improved massively as a player. I kind of already liked your game, but I think you've made those leaps. Have you seen that, Tyson? We talked about like your growth last time, but talking about your teammate, have you seen a change in AJ from last year to this year?
Oh yeah, they've definitely changed. You know, like they both understand each other more. Like they're very similar with their demeanor and stuff. So just them having a better understanding, that's what helped them. And now they're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, you that's the thing. You kind of have a lot of Izzo in you, kind of a little bit like the healthy stubbornness and like you're good at what you do. I've coaching versus playing, obviously, but you're good at what you do. You know you're good at what you do. Like I like my wide receivers, my cornerbacks, my point guards. I like my guards to have a little kind of FU. Like I think that's actually a good quality that you have and you both have. But so there's a certain element of that I think even Tom Izzo would want to retain. I mean, Kalen Lucas had that. Cassius didn't, but it didn't matter. He was like the nicest assassin ever. So he didn't really need it. I mean, his game had a killer mentality, even if his sort of, personality and emotions didn't. But I like your snarl, I think we talked about a little bit as a team in general, has kind of come in a weird context from the fans sometimes where specifically like your body language. Like, I'm not going to bring up, like, the exact messages people are saying, but people are like, AJ's body language is so bad all the time. I think it's kind of overstated. You just look pissed off, and I kind of like that you're pissed off. I don't know. Have you heard, like, the body language criticism ever?
I mean, if you haven't been an athlete at a high level, you wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
If you haven't been through it. If you haven't been out there at war with your brothers and things happen. So, I mean, of course you're going to be your emotions are running high during the game. So if you've never been in that situation or never been an athlete yourself, you wouldn't really understand what's going on.
Yeah, Ben, throw my tweet up there. For the record, I'm not just saying this because you're here. I've defended you on the body. To me, it's kind of an overblown thing anyway. But this was in response to someone else. But I said, we've been in Aw Shucks program since Draymond Green graduated 10 years ago. I'm fine with AJ Hoggard snarling at people for 40 minutes. And that was a game in December. I don't think it was Penn State, but people were saying like, oh, he's bitching like at the opponents. He's bitching at everybody. He's like clapping in guys' faces. I'm like, good. Thank God. Like, I thought it was like the best thing ever. And I go on Twitter. People are like mad about it. What the fuck are you guys talking about? This is like the best thing ever. I've been waiting for this team to have some like FU since you guys were running around the Final Four. I mean, we've had great teams, but it's been kind of a more friendly team since Draymond left. I mean, it's kind of kill you with kindness and high skill. I think it's an asset. Like, I like that you're kind of a FU mentality. I mean, is that a fair characterization? Like, you do have a little bit of kind of chip on your shoulder.
I would agree.
Makes you a good Spartan. So you're speaking of, well, it's true. We're like the underdog kind of mentality. So speaking of you having a chip on your shoulder and being tough, AJ. So did you watch the clip of your two teammates and what they said about you when they were here, Jaden and Tyson?
No, I didn't watch the clip.
You know where I'm going with this? So they both agreed, but we just cut up Tyson. So we asked them in our speed round to pick someone on the team, one of your teammates, that you would have as your personal bodyguard. Like, you're going out to the club, they got to have your back. And they both picked you. Ben, can you roll that for us? The best bet on your team right now to hire as your bodyguard to get your back.
Like if they was to never play basketball again.
Nothing to do with basketball whatsoever. They just got your back in the club. They are your hired they're your hired protection. If somebody like me comes up and is hectoring you. You guys are laughing. Is it an obvious answer? AJ.
Even if AJ was still playing basketball and someone was to come up behind me, like I know he's got me.
What do you make of that? Like, why did they pick you?
I'm just my brother's keeper. That's just kind of my mentality. Those guys are my brothers, and we've been through a lot together over my 3 years here, and so those are my guys. So I got their back through whatever. You
were like it was the easiest answer ever. I mean, he laughed. It's like, why is this even a question? And Jaden, which that part wasn't in that cut, but he's just like, oh yeah. Like, it was like a definitive. Like, who would even be second? And I was like, I would have thought Sissoko just based on the biceps and the size and he'd be a good option, but it was like you automatically. I mean, do you take pride in that where your two teammates are like, man, AJ's got our back? Does that kind of move you at all, or does that?
Yeah, definitely for them to think like that, and just kind of noticing that. It's not something that I broadcast or really brag about, but them just knowing that how I care for them and things like that is definitely fun to hear.
Is that like, how does that manifest? Like, when would you like he need to have your back? Because presumably our hypothetical about you being at the club and getting jumped isn't like a real thing. Like, is it has your back? Like, if coaches chewing you out? Is it just kind of checking in on you? Like, what does that look like?
I don't even know. We're just out of 24 hours. We're probably together for 16 of them. So
He's just your brother. Man.
Yeah, it's my guy for sure. So
yeah. I was expecting one of the big guys. I was surprised like it was a guy. I mean, yeah, it's like it was a fascinating answer. I was curious for your take on it. So I want to talk about Tyson and your snarl a little bit too. And I told you this was coming because I didn't want to ambush you with this clip. It's one of the rare times I told someone in advance to be ready. So you were kind of semi-viral on Twitter. I don't know if you understand the extent of this in the Michigan State fan base, even outside of the Michigan State fan base. There was a video of you, from the game broadcast against Nebraska at the end of the first half that later became a GIF, because of course, of you saying something. We'll get to that in a second. Ben, can you roll the clip, the first clip from that?
Back it goes 10 to shoot. Walker, 4 points, 1 for 7 from the floor. Contested jumper. Might be his hardest shot of the night, and he made it look easy.
And you contrast the difficulty of the shots that Michigan State's having to get with what Nebraska's been able to get. I mean, that's a tough shot. It's a good shot by Walker, but a tough shot for the Spartans here tonight.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure you said shut the fuck up, shut up. Ben, throw like the last 5 second clip on there. Like, I mean,
Nebraska's been able to get. I mean, that's a tough shot. It's a good shot by Walker.
It looked like shut the fuck up, shut up. And I'm very confident the shut the fuck up part. That looked at it was at Tominaga.
No, it was not.
Everyone said it was Tominaga.
No, it was not. It was the dude sitting courtside. He was very drunk.
It was a fan?
Yes, and he was very drunk. He was just saying some crazy stuff.
Do you remember
Tominaga, if they would have showed some more, Tominaga actually laughed and said, "Don't worry about him."
Oh, really?
Yes.
Do you remember what the fan was saying?
I don't remember, but it was not towards Tominaga.
Russell Westbrook got a fan kicked out like 2 nights ago for yelling "shoot" at him every time he had the ball. I mean, whatever that guy said, it had to have been worse than that. But that's interesting because everyone said it was Tominaga.
No, it was not towards him.
We don't
Tominaga is actually a cool dude. Like,
really?
We were talking throughout the whole game.
I was I was wondering because I was watching. I'm like, well, what happened? Like, what's the? I didn't see any He seems like one of the cleanest players in the conference.
Yeah, it was
like getting really mad at Matt McQuaid or something. It's like, what the hell are you doing? It's like Matt McQuaid. Yeah, that's interesting. I was convinced it was Tominaga. I was fascinated by it. So all this was over a fan.
Yeah, it was
a lot of arenas got hecklers because they sell alcohol beverages. The Breslin doesn't have that, so we don't really heckle too many players.
Well, that in our court side is like Matt Ishbia and Mel Tucker and Alan Hauer. I mean, so it's like you might, if you're heckling, you're going to be too far away. We have like a very bougie front row at the Breslin Center, I feel like. But yeah, I don't know. Are you advocating for alcohol at Michigan State athletics events? Because
I think I let away the Breslin is right now.
So you don't want alcohol at the games?
I'm gonna be playing, so I don't really have anything to do with
Well,
that.
yeah, but you're getting yelled at louder. So
that'll be a fan's request. That wouldn't be my request.
Yeah. I think it'd be more fun, especially at football games. Basketball games, they can leave alone. But I took my older son, who's 4, to his first Michigan State game of any variety for your guys' senior day, the win against Ohio State, which he's calling Red Team State. But the atmosphere there is so cool. So I had to say, thank you to you guys for actually winning that game, because he's been talking about how great Michigan State is, and he wants to go there now because they always win, which is obviously not true, but he thinks they always win because you guys won. So it's such a great atmosphere there. So Tominaga, why didn't he come out and defend himself? I would have come out and said something about it.
I don't know. I was gonna tweet about it, but I just left it alone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wouldn't even address it if I were you. You're just gonna feed that because they're gonna be breaking down, lip reading everything you do from there on out. What was for that Nebraska game? While I'm talking about it, what was the atmosphere like at halftime there? Because I mean, I hate the cliche of tale of two halves, but when is it more applicable than that? You guys, again, I said it earlier, it looked like you were going to get crushed, and then you did the crushing. Was it like a fiery halftime thing? Was it really?
It was just more of a we all just talking.
Calm.
Yeah.
Literally calm. Just what's at stake. We know what's at stake. We're playing for seeding for both tournaments, so go out here and do what we got to do. Everybody do their job at a high level for the second half, and let's come out with a win. I'm surprised you guys weren't mad. I was thinking more like the Mateen Cleaves, putting someone against the wall type stuff. I mean, just being realistic. I mean, Nebraska has a really good fan base. It's loud in there. It gets really loud in there. They do a good job cheering for their Huskers.
All dark. It was.
And they definitely and
It does look weird. It looks weird on TV. It looks dark
in there.
It's dark in there in person too.
Yeah.
It looks like that on TV.
And it was their senior night, so you got to expect them guys to be amped up. And they've been playing at a high level lately over the last month and a half. So they were ready to play. They're confident in themselves. They're a good basketball team when they're playing like that. So they were ready to go. Their fans were behind them, and we wasn't making no shots at the beginning of the game, so we had to find a way to respond.
Yeah, I don't care how good you are or how bad the other guys or good he is. Like, if the other guy's making his shots and you're not, that's what you get. You get a, whatever it was, 12-point halftime deficit. But I like that you guys, like, were just calm and quiet in the locker room. I was expecting kind of a different answer, like Tyson yelling at somebody or you yelling at somebody. But, yeah, I mean, was your coach kind of the same thing, or was it more just players being even keel? Was Tom pretty chill?
He didn't really have to say too much. It was more of a players thing. We kind of handled what we had to handle, and went from there.
Do you guys feel? Oh, sorry, I mean, do you guys feel like kind of player run at this point with this group, more so than coach run? I mean, like, do you guys kind of police yourselves at this point?
I say we do a good job of that. Guys been here long enough to understand what it takes and to respond in certain situations. So just to come out of them and know what we need to do, what we need to correct. You've been playing basketball long enough to know what you're doing and what you're not doing. So we kind of just try to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, is that fair, Tyson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the speed round, I do want to say the pleasure I've taken in watching you guys this year, both as individuals and as a team. It has really been one of my favorite teams, and it's been a lot of fun just to watch you guys. I think you two in particular, and I put Jaden on that list. I love what we've seen from Joey Hauser. You guys just really give a shit. Like I'm not every Michigan State team cares. I'm not like putting anyone else down, but your guys like give a fuck level is really high. Like I really mean that, and I just thank you guys for your contributions to Michigan State that are still obviously ongoing. But it's really been a fun year of watching both of you and Joey, make the leaps that you guys have, and Jaden making a big step. And it just seems like a group I'm really, really, really rooting for, even more than normal, to have success in these next couple of weeks. So I just wanted to throw that out there before we get to the speed round.
Appreciate that.
So, yeah, you guys are great Spartans. So let's get to the speed round, Ben. These guys got here late from a late practice, so we got to get them back on the road pretty soon. Let's get to it. So the speed round is what bore the A.J. Hoggard bodyguard clip. So we're going to be kind of all over the map here. I'm curious for both your takes on Zach Edey. So let's start there. The Michigan State fan response to Zach Edey is he has no game at all. If he were 4 inches taller, he'd be not even going to Eastern Michigan, couldn't play anywhere. What's your take on him? You guys have played him twice, real tough loss at the Breslin Center. What's your take on Zach Edey's game, having played him twice? What do you make of him?
I think he's very improved. He's been there for 3 years. I even got a shot to play against him in high school, so I think he's improved. He has nice touch around the rim. Definitely has a size advantage as well, but he definitely has a good feel for the game, and that just helps him a lot. He has good touch around the basket, being a 7'5" guy. He makes foul shots at a high level. For having hands that big and being that big of a player, we don't really see people that big making foul shots at the rate that he does. So, he's a good player. He has good finesse around the rim, and it helps him a lot.
So you disagree with the fan base. So where are you at, Tyson?
I disagree too. I think he's real good. You can't teach size, and he knows how to play the game really well. Dude's big, he scores at a very high rate. I feel like if he starts shooting an elbow jump shot, it's ridiculous. But he doesn't miss free throws.
Yeah, he's like in the mid-70s, I think, this year, which is for a guy that big. He shoots
a lot of free throws a game too.
Oh yeah, and he's really. It's kind of a source of tension in the Michigan State fan base, at least. And I think for the Big Ten, I hear everyone bitching about it that he doesn't foul, or he doesn't get called for fouls anyway. It's like you look at.
I would agree with that. I think he got his first 2 fouls of the year where it gets me at Purdue.
Yeah, he doesn't. They don't call him. Do they call him? Are they giving him a good whistle, or do you think he's playing that clean?
I think the Big Ten doesn't really call fouls.
Well, they call him on you guys.
Depends though. It depends on how the game's going.
They called him on Sissoko on the ship.
Big guys get fouled, not really the little guys.
I don't know. He's a giant. And he's 3 minutes left in the game. He's never in foul trouble. The big guys are always in foul trouble. I don't know. Like Jaren Jackson had 4 fouls like at the end of the first half the time. Everyone was like, "Oh, why doesn't Izzo play anymore?" It's like if you're actually watching the games, he's gonna foul out. I'm fascinated by a 7'5" guy that lives at the rim that never fouls. So you think he plays clean, or they just don't call it?
I don't think a lot of people are going down there either.
I wouldn't either.
Who's really going? What guards are really attacking Zach Edey?
Yeah,
At the rim. He's 7'5". He jumps or he walls up.
It's a hard fall.
And it's a hard shot to get off. So
it's a pain in the ass to play against him, right? I hate watching him. I hate playing against. If you were on my team, I'd love it. I feel it's such like there's nothing you can do most of the time. I feel like, right? Is he just a pain in the ass to play against?
Yeah. And like when you stand next to him, he's even bigger.
Yeah. Did you stand next to him much? Hopefully you weren't trying to post him up. That'd be interesting. But yeah, he's. I think I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I think he's a function of his size. I don't think he's crossing anyone over anytime soon necessarily. But he does have some legitimate game around the rim, like you were saying. Does. Yeah, he's not like just a total oaf out there. All right, the biggest controversy in the last 2 weeks at Michigan State with the basketball stuff. Should you, as a general rule, foul up 3 with a few seconds left? What's your take on that? You guys with the game at Iowa, that came up where it's a 3-point lead. You didn't foul, overtime, lost. We all know what happened. But it just as a general rule, do you guys like fouling up 3 as a strategy?
If AJ makes a foul shot, we're not in that situation, so he wouldn't have to foul. So I put it on me. I don't really have a necessary answer for you.
But if you're the coach, are you calling the foul there or not?
But not if you have 5 guys out there that should know what they're doing.
Yeah, crazy things happen. You foul, he makes one, misses second, they tip it in. Same thing, tie game. So.
Yeah, crazy thing happens. They hit a 3. Though. I just feel like that happens more often. Although the data's kind of mixed on there. Some people say it's tilted one way or the other. So you guys are cool, like with the defending. That's kind of the way you would go.
Yeah,
it is an interesting coach thing. Coach like Izzo just doesn't do it. Kevin Sampson for Houston always does it. It's just there's different perspectives. So you guys are team defend. That's fine. It's like a 50-50 split on Twitter. Okay, Joey Hauser. We mentioned him briefly. One of the biggest leaps in my lifetime as a Michigan State fan anyway. He was already a good player, but has made a huge leap. He was a guy that was kind of maligned by some. People were frustrated with him. I was always a Joey Hauser fan personally. I think his redemption arc, that wasn't even really as needed as people are pretending anyway to begin with, has been great though. I've loved seeing his improvement. He seems to feel kind of personally happier, vindicated a little bit, for some of the shit that he endured. Tom Izzo's talked about it openly, about some of the fans saying stuff about him. What's your take on Hauser, his growth, like how he's been acting this year? Does he seem happier with his performance? Where are you at with that?
I feel like he's happy with how he's been playing. Everybody is playing well. He doesn't really get into all the outside stuff, what people say about him. He doesn't let that get to him. He goes about the game like a professional, just how he takes care of himself, how he warms up, everything. And it shows when he plays.
He's so confident this year.
He's just reaping the benefits of being an everyday guy. Joey brings it every day. He's in the gym all day, every day. He works, he perfects his craft at a high level, and it's just showing every night he's out there on the floor. So just so happy for Joey to bounce back the way that he did, and just tune out the outside noise. He doesn't really pay it no mind, like Tyson said, and just go out there and give us what we need every night. Does it at a high level.
He's done that. You guys, you too, Joey, Jaden's had games too. Like, there's certain games where anything less than a great performance from one of you guys, and you had games where you were 20+ points and you guys won by a bucket. It's like you guys have really relied on a balanced scoring attack. I tweeted it out on senior day when they have, at the end of the game, like you get the scoreboard up there with everyone's point total and their foul total. And it's, the 5 out there, it was like 12, 18, 17, 19, 16. Like everyone was kind of within 5 points of each other. All 5 were in double digits. And, I just think he's been a huge part of that, where he's been one of the guys really carrying the flag. But you guys are it's sort of a death by 1,000 razor blades teams. Like, I feel like, there are games where, AJ, you're the best player on the floor. The Penn State game in December, you had like 23 points. You carried us that game. There's games where it's Tyson. There's games where it's Hauser. There's games where everyone's between 12 and 14. I just like the balance of the team. Second to last one, the penultimate, Hunter Dickinson. Don't get yourself in trouble here. What's your take on him? He's a villain. He taunts you guys a lot like everybody else. What's your take on Hunter Dickinson?
I mean, he's a good player. He taunts his rival. He's just all the way in with the rivalry, so I don't really shade him too much for that. That's just not how I would go about it personally. But, I mean, to each his own. We're their rival. We dislike them as much as they dislike us, so it is what it is.
Does it bother you when he's doing the like slingshot, all that crap, and grabbing his crotch? And
Not at all.
Doesn't bother you?
You got to go back out there and produce.
Yeah.
You got to do something with it. Can't just be talking about it.
Yeah. Just don't let it happen, kind of thing. Tyson, where you at on Hunter Dickinson?
I don't really.
No opinion.
No, not really.
We don't really let that kind of stuff get to us. We don't
Yeah.
let that affect us. He's out there playing basketball. He's having fun doing it. I guess that's just the way he shows his emotion towards the game, and that's to each his own, like I said. So
That's the funniest thing about talking to athletes. It's like the shit the fans care about versus the shit you guys care about. There's some overlap, like on the Venn diagram. Like, both care about winning, obviously. But the stuff that bothers fans, you guys are just like, whatever. Who gives a shit? That's always interesting to me. So much less controversial. And we'll finish here. Steven Izzo. A couple stories. The LSJ, Graham Couch had a piece on him. My friend David Harden's had a piece, on his page, just about the relationship with Tom and how it's grown and how he's gotten to spend this time with him. What's sort of the Steven Izzo experience? Like, is it weird having the coach's son in the locker room where it's like, I can't say F the coach, or like, what's that dynamic like?
Nah, it's not weird at all. Coach even says he doesn't want Steven to report anything back to him. So, like, you kind of forget that he's even a coach's son, really, because we kind of say whatever, nothing.
He's just like one of the guys, basically?
Yeah, he's one of the guys.
Steve was one of the guys for sure. He's at practice. It's not like he doesn't get what we get just because he coaches his son. So he might have the same feelings in the locker room as us. So don't let it fool you. But yeah, we definitely forget that he's around. He acts just like one of us in the locker room. It's just fun being around Steve-O. Like he said, you definitely will forget. But he's definitely one of the guys, and it's fun to be around Steve-O.
Yeah, I think it was Graham's article, but one of the articles had a quote in there just about you would expect this guy to be kind of a bratty, son of a multimillionaire there, for his dad's team. He's like the complete opposite. He's like, and that's his reputation. Is like he's actually one of the nicest people like on campus, probably.
Man, most definitely.
Yeah, he's like just a good guy.
All the way through.
He doesn't flash any money, nothing.
Yeah. I just need him to shoot if he gets into another game. He said he's coming back next year. He's doing like a graduate thing. So we have a full other year, I guess, to get him to get a shot up. But yeah, we got to get him one bucket at least. So anyway, I'll get you guys out of here. Appreciate you guys. You could have called me and begged out of it with your practice running late, and it's an important time of year. So I did want to rush you out just because it's tournament time. And if you guys are looking a little groggy on Friday, I don't want any asshole Michigan State people asking why I was keeping you here past midnight or something. So I appreciate you guys again. I'll double down on just saying it's been a pleasure watching you. Tyson, thanks for coming back and giving us another crack. Hopefully you'll come back maybe a third time at some point. AJ, I don't know. Maybe I pissed you off. he didn't like me bringing up the fan body language thing, but I defended you on that. I defended you all year. I think it's like kind of stupid. I love that you're out there wearing it on your sleeve. I've said that all year. My tweets are out there. So major props to you guys on, again, great individual seasons that you're having and continued success to you. It's going to be a fun ride, and I think you guys are going to have a good weekend. And from there, I think anything's possible with this group. I'm feeling pretty good about you guys, and I wish you well. Seriously, thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.
That was Tyson Walker and AJ Hoggard joining us on the eve of the Big Ten tournament in the middle of March Madness. Really honored to have them and them rushing over here. It's not close. Rochester's like an hour and 20 minutes away, one way. So appreciate them. Ben Augusta, appreciate you, man. It's going to be a fun run. This team's got that dog in them, as they say. I'm really pumped to see what they do, and it's going to be It's going to be fun. It's going to be tense. It's that time of year. So get ready, Spartans, and looking forward to it. Thanks, Spiro Avenue Show. Justin Spiro. We're out.